All right, so when people call me, usually it's from these videos that they're watching. I do a heck of a lot of new construction here in Northeast Florida. It's a no-brainer because there are so many great options in this area for new construction, so many builders to choose from, so many communities. But one of the big questions I get all the time, over and over again, is usually from people that have never gone through this process before, and it is super overwhelming. And the question is, can you tell me about the build process? Tell me what's involved. How long will it take? What are the different phases of the process? So today I'm going to go through just that. Let's get into it right now. Okay, so starting right off the bat, realize that depending on what you're building, who you're building, where you're building, is going to be the determination if this is going to take 7 months to build or 12 months to build. And again, this video is about you deciding that you're going to pick a lot and build a home with a specific builder in a specific community. And those are usually referred to as pre-sales, okay, in the builder's world. The other things you'll hear about is a spec home, which is a home that is already in process being built, where the builder's already speculated what you would want as a customer. Everything is picked out, it is permitted, and it has already begun the process. So you may not have to wait 6, 9, 12 months. You may only have to wait maybe 1 month, 2 months, 3, 4, 5, and that is a spec home. You also have something that is called a quick move-in home, and a quick move-in home is more or less a home that the builder has also speculated that is pretty much done and it is ready to go either now or in the next month, and those are called quick move-ins. But this video is not about that. This is about a pre-sale, which is where you are hand selecting your lot, picking out all your structural options, picking out your finishes, and that's what we're talking about today. So depending on the builder, the size of the home, where you're building, this process usually takes anywhere from, I would say, 6 to 12 months. In some cases, on some semi-custom homes, it could go over 12 months. But as I'm making this video here in the beginning of 2025, we are seeing homes being built rather quickly. These are track homes. So again, anywhere from 6, 7 months to 12 months is the timeline. Okay, so the first part of the process is that if you're smart or you're clever and you haven't done this at least more than 2 times, get yourself a real estate professional. The way you're doing that is you're interviewing somebody that is already in the business, that has multiple builds, preferably knows all the builders, knows the construction managers, has experience and a background in this business. Okay, and I may say that try to sound humble about it, but this is a very long process. It's a difficult process. There's a lot going on. And so you want to have the best people, a team of people behind you. Okay. And that starts with having a good real estate professional that represents you and your best interests. Sales reps that work for the builder, their first and best interest is usually for the builder, their employer, right? Okay, so you want to have an advocate. And the good thing is that builders realize that they need real estate professionals as partners, and good builder reps want you to have a good real estate professional to help guide you through this process as well, because it's less work for them. And they realize the more real estate professionals they have out there showing the product, the better chances of them selling their homes. So you want to have a good real estate professional, and realize as of right now in 2025, most of the track home national home builders include a co-broke commission for real estate professionals. So the money is not coming out of your pocket. It is coming out as a marketing expense, which is built into the cost of the home. What that means is, regardless of whether you have a realtor or not, they are not going to change the price of the home based on whether you're using an agent or not, because they have something called comparables. Comparables are what the comps are in that neighborhood. So they can't lower the price for you because you're special, because if they lower the price for you, they're going to have to lower the price for everybody else. And the object of the developer and the builder is not to lower prices, but to sell homes at a nice steady rate and increase the price of the lot, the base price of the home, and charge more money for the home. So, okay, less houses towards the end of the build, higher demand. Again, also you have to take into fact the market. So get yourself a good real estate professional, interview multiple real estate professionals. Hey, how many builds do you have going on in the area? How many homes have you sold this year? What is your experience? Very trivial, but many people skip it. In fact, the National Association of Realtors say that most people just hire the first agent they talk to. Not a great idea. Anyway, I digress, but once you have a good real estate professional, you will understand that this process can take 6 to 12 months. And the first part of that process is saying, hey, Mr. Realtor, I'm interested in this area for this reason. And Mr. Realtor should be asking the right questions of what your needs are, okay? And once you base your needs are, you've narrowed it down to a community. The next thing you want to talk about is lots, and you want to talk about floor plans, okay? And again, if you've watched my videos over and over again, I always say it's not always just about the floor plan that is available that matches your needs as far as size, rooms, if you work from home or not, etc., but also the location of the lot, okay? And again, I've talked about this many times. I have a video on how to pick the best lot, but of course you want that pie-shaped lot that's on a bend, on a cul-de-sac. You want a lake view, preserve view, a lake to preserve view. So those are the things that a real estate professional and yourself should come together and put out a plan on what you're trying to achieve based on your budget. So we figure out the community, we found a lot, we found the builder, and here we go. We are also, believe it or not, this is really important. You don't just want to walk into any builder's model homes, because as soon as you walk in, most of the time it's a round robin system, and you're going to get the sales rep that happens to be working that day or whoever is up. And not all sales reps are created equal. Like real estate professionals, they are not created equal. Okay, so that's another good reason to have a real estate professional, because good real estate professionals like myself like and prefer to work with the best real estate sales reps at each builder's office. So again, another thing is knowing who the best sales reps are, because again, they're going to be your front man that you're dealing with at the builder, or front woman that you're going to be building at through the builder. So we go into the model, we set up an appointment, we go into the model that you're interested in, we figured out the lot that's great. From that point on, this is where the build process begins, okay? And I always say to people, before that even starts, you can call me in 9 days, 90 days, 180 days, because you can never start too early learning about an area. And I think you should compare to resales, as I always like to show any of my clients that are building that there is options for resale as well, and what is the comparison as far as price and what you get. Okay, so right now you have a lot of promotions from builders in Northeast Florida. You have a lot of opportunities for a lot of new construction, and they're offering a lot of incentives to buy down the rate. So it is still a great time to have a new construction home. So again, we figured out the community, we figured out the builder, we're looking at the lot, and now this begins the process, okay? Right, when I said from 6 to 12 months, depending on the home you're building. So you picked out the lot, and what we're doing now is we're actually asking the sales rep, if they can, possible, not all builders can do this, but most can. We also want to pick the floor plan that you're doing and putting that to scale on the lot that you have chose, so you know what the house will look like on the lot, how much room you have to the right to your property line, to the left, and on the back. Okay, you also want to know where your builder restriction lines are and where your house is going to sit. That is really important. People skip that. They just assume, hey, let's put the house on the lot. And one of the big things is, and this is a pro tip, is getting that AC condenser unit on the side of the house if you can, rather behind the house, okay? Which is, it's not always an easy feat or task to do depending on the community to pick, okay? Also in this first process, and this is usually from the deposit to contract, we're looking at a 2-week time frame if you do it right, okay? you're walking in there, you picked out the lot, the sales rep has put the home that you want, the model that you want on the lot, shown you what we call lot fit, how it sits on the lot. Then we go ahead and we pick out the options for structural options. And again, if you've watched my videos, structural options I always say are really important, like an extended lanai. Outdoor living is huge here in Florida. So in your budget, you want to have things like that in there, extended lanais, pocket doors, all different options, structural options like banisters for the stairs. Do you want a solid half wall or do you want them open banisters? Those are the kind of decisions you have to make before you sign on the dotted line. And those are the structural options as well. So you're going to pick the lot, you're going to pick the model home that you're going to build, you're going to pick the structural options, you're also going to pick the elevation, what they call the elevation. It's kind of weird because you're like, what does elevation have to do? It's the front look of the home, and usually they have a few choices for you. So those are all really big decisions that you have to make. The color of the home, okay? So that process is going to be made in the 1 to 2 week period. Your sales rep for the builder is going to try to get you into contract as quickly as possible so that they can write it up, because they do not want to take that lot off the market or lose the potential sale to another customer. So this process, they want to make it as quickly as possible to get you into contract and get you to send in a deposit or give them a check for a deposit. Some builders will allow you to have a reservation, some won't. A reservation just means you put a little bit of money down, you give them a check, it reserves the lot for a certain period of time, and you can decide, you have first right of refusal if you decide to move forward with that lot or not. But I digress. If you decide on the lot, the first 1 to 2 weeks, depending on the builder, they're going to want to get you in contract, and they're going to want you to get a sizable amount of deposit down as quickly as possible so that you are in bed with them and that they can get the process going. In that 1 to 2 week period, they're also going to make sure that you have their preferred lenders, that you can get pre-qualified with them. Now, you do not have to use their lenders, but there's usually incentives associated with that. Again, a good real estate professional will help guide you through figuring out if those incentives are worthwhile and what their best preferred lender is. Okay, not all are created equal. They usually give you 2 or 3. But again, you should always exercise what is going to make sense with the numbers. Who do you jive with as best as your lender? And so that is the 1 to 2 week period. Okay. Now, the next stage is permitting. Okay. That's a 1 to 3 month process. Okay. And basically, in that 1 to 3 months, depending on the builder, and most of the time it's usually 30, 45 days for permitting, and depending on the county, how long it takes. So that's why I'm doing a larger span, 1 to 3 months, because some of the bigger $2 million homes can take 3 months until we get through permitting. But this is where the builder has gotten all the information from you as far as everything you're going to do with the home structurally, the floor plan and the lot and everything, and they're going to submit it to the county to get this approved. Okay. And that can be anywhere from 1 to 3 months. It's usually about 45 days after you've gone through the contract process. Okay. So I said 1 to 2 weeks to figure out the home, the builder, the lot, and all that good stuff. And then the permitting, the final decisions on structural and everything going through permitting, usually about 30 to 45 days, up to 3 months. Okay. And so that is the next stage. All right. Okay. So you've gone through the first 2 weeks, hopefully a week or two, to get yourself into contract. They're requiring you to send the deposit. They usually give you 3 to 5 days after you sign that contract. And then we have the design center coming. Usually after signing the contract, you're required to go to the design center around 30 to 45 days after you sign that contract. So if you're from out of town, like a lot of my people, not everyone, but a lot of folks are from out of town, they come into town, they sign a contract, they get all super excited, then they go to bed, and the next day they go, oh my God, what did I do? I just bought a house. So after that, once you get over that buyer's remorse or whatever it is, you get back into the excitement mode. And at 30 to 45 days, you have to fly back into town and go to a design center visit. Now, most builders, it's usually a day and a half, 2-day process. Bigger homes certainly is going to take a little bit longer time. It is a super overwhelming process. It is where the builders make their money in the design center. The design center is where you go to pick out all the finishes, the flooring, the big ticket items, the countertops, your grout colors, all the things that you can imagine in building a home. You have all these decisions to make: the hardware, the handles, the door handles, all the colors. It is so confusing and overwhelming, and they cram it all into a day and a half, 2 days. And so we've decided, as part of our services, we include, because I can't go to every single one of these design center appointments, and I'm not the best design person, we have, as part of our services, a person that used to work for the builder and has a design background to accompany with you to the design center. The builders have their designers, and then you will have somebody accompany you as well to prepare you for it and to help guide you through that process. And the idea is to get you the things that you want in your home that you're going to be happy about, but also stay within budget. And also, like I always say, also to consider for resale value. So we have somebody that will be accompanying you to those both days or just one day to help you to pick out those finishes, stay within your budget, figure out what you can do with the builder, and maybe some of the things you may want to do afterwards without the builder, because the builder, that's where their major markup is in the design center, and that's where they make the money. So this is a very important stage to have guidance. It is super overwhelming, and I certainly recommend having that additional help, that team of people, not just their designers, but also the provision of the service that we provide, to have someone to go with you that understands the process really well to help guide you, prepare you, and have a team of people to make those big decisions. Because once you make those decisions, then the builder is going to take all that information that you took on your contract. So you picked out the lot, the model of the home that you're going to build. You picked the elevation out. You picked out all the structural options. 30, 45 days later, you went to design center. It took a day or two. You picked out all your finishes, hopefully. And then at that point, the builder is going to take all that information and take it to the county and go in for permitting. Now, permitting can take anywhere from that point. Now we're into the contract, about a week or two to get into contract, another 30, 45 days on top of that. We're almost at 2 months. And then on the second month, third month, we're going to go into permitting, and usually dependent on the county, permitting can take anywhere from 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, sometimes even a little bit longer. So that permitting process is, again, another month-long process on average. Okay, so now you're 3 months into the process, and now we're actually going to get to a place where we're going to start building the foundation. Okay, so we've gone through the deposit and the contract. We've talked about permitting. And then we go through the pre-construction process, okay? And that is usually 1 to 2 weeks as well. This is the time where, if the lot is not already prepared already, it is prepared, the utilities are checked, and then you have a pre-construction meeting with your builder, okay? And this is where you'll find out who your builder is. It is a very imperative, important time, because this is the person now that you're dealing with. You went from the sales rep who got you into this contract, and now you are sitting down with your builder, okay? And your builder is an imperative, important part of this whole process, because this is the person that is going to be organizing all these subcontractors to make sure that your home is built according to the plans. Now, at this point, you should have everything picked out. It should have gone through permitting. Please, for the love of the Lord, make sure that you have everything figured out by then, because most builders refuse to make changes. And if they do, and they are so sweet and kind enough to make changes for you because you forgot something or you went and saw another model that had something that you wanted to know if you can have, if they're so sweet enough to allow you to make that change, they're going to charge you. Okay, those are called change fees. So make sure that you have all that figured out. Now you're sitting down with your builder and you're meeting your builder, and this is where the relationship begins. Okay, important to have a good relationship with your builder. Builders deal with a lot of stress. We call him the construction manager. He's usually building anywhere from 7, 10, 15, as many as 20 homes at once. Okay. And so you want to be nice to them because it is a very, very stressful job. You want to have a relationship with them because they're the ones that are going to be in charge of building your home and managing the subcontractors. And so at this pre-construction meeting, he will go over the plans of your home, everything that you picked out, okay? Everything I already talked about, including the electrical and plumbing. Do you want a hose bib on the back on this corner? Do you want an outlet switch on your soffit in the front of the home, in the back of the home? If you want Christmas lights, how are you going to turn the kitchen lights on? All those important things. And again, a good real estate professional who knows the model of the home will make sure, depending on the experience of the builder or how long he has been in that community, how many times has he built that particular model that you are decided and chosen on, he's going to know whether or not you want your light switches here. Do you want a three-way switch here? So he's going to go over the electrical, the plumbing, all the important things about the home to make sure that you've thought of everything. Do you want that side door on the side of the garage, for instance? To make sure that all those things have been thought of. He reiterates it with the plans, and then he talks about the time frames as well. Now, the almighty question we get every time at these meetings, and the builders get it every time, and they can't give you a definitive answer. How long is this home going to take to build? Okay, let's go back to the beginning of this video. 6 to 12 months, depending on the house. If it's a big house, maybe 13 months. Okay, they have an idea, but they have so many trades coming in. There's so many variables involved. For instance, since we're at this point now, this is where your foundation is made, and they're going to, after this construction meeting, they are going to pour the slab. They're going to prepare the concrete slab and have it poured probably right after this meeting, if not a day after or the week after. But again, this is the time where all these things need to be discussed and when the actual build process begins. And that's usually, this pre-construction meeting is about 1 to 2 weeks, okay? Then we start the foundation pour. At this point, you can decide if you want to do an inspection before the pour of the concrete. I've done a video on it. I'll put it in the description as well, so you can learn about that. Not very common, not as common as a pre-drywall meeting and a final inspection, which we'll get to, but some people do a pre-concrete slab inspection. The reason why most people don't do it is because usually the county has to approve before it can get poured to make sure that the plumbing underneath the concrete slab, the siding, the boards, the form boards are correctly done, the footers are done, all that, whatnot. And so again, going back to my previous point about timelines, one of the big things that we can see delays in is that if it rains a lot, and we are in Florida, we've had delays with the foundation being poured, because every time they do the form boards of the home, prepare the plumbing before they pour the concrete slab, if we have rain, it washes away the grading, the soil that was built in within the form boards, and they have to redo it. So that could be a delay, and there's multiple delays that can go throughout this build process. That's why the builder doesn't want to give you a definitive date of when the home will be complete. So, okay, so we're going into the foundation pour, and that again includes the grading, the plumbing, the form boards, the footers, and then the foundation is poured, the concrete. And now you have a concrete slab. And again, that process again can take anywhere from 1 to 2 months depending on the builder. All right, so now we've got the foundation down. The foundation, right after it gets the concrete gets poured and you have a concrete slab, there is a time right afterwards where they're immediately supposed to, and I say supposed to because it's not always done right away, but there's a curing period, the amount of time that the concrete needs to dry to gain strength. And then also they saw these lines in the concrete so that if the concrete should crack, it limits the cracking with these lines that they saw across the concrete slab. Now, concrete, you'll find, especially in these neck of the woods, you're always going to find some sort of cracking. It's inevitable with concrete, but the lines that they do in that curing period all is also dependent on the quality of the foundation, the way it's done, the timing, the curing, whatnot. So that is something that is included in that foundation, which is the first major step. Then the next step will go into framing. All right, we're now starting to see a home being built. We're in framing, okay, the foundation. We've done the first 3 months where we've got into contract, we've got the permitting, we've done the pre-con meeting, met your builder. They've got this slab prepared and poured. They did the joint lines. They let the concrete dry properly, cure, if you will. And now we're into starting to have the fun part, which is the framing. And again, these timelines are loosely based on the builder, the size of the home or whatnot, but the framing process can take anywhere from 1 to 2 months. I've seen them frame a 2,400 to 3,000 square foot home in a couple of days easily with a crew of 14 people. It is pretty incredible. They use cranes and everything. But at this framing part, this is a 1 to 2 month process. We're 3 months in now. We're starting to actually see a home being built, and that's the framing. The house structure is built, including the walls. Depends if who you're building with. It could be 2x4s or 2x6s they use. And then after that, they're going to go ahead and add your roof and then your windows. And now you're starting to see the shell of your home. Okay. And that time period is about accurate, 1 to 2 months. You also see some certain doors being installed at this point as well. In this process is about 1 to 2 months. We're at the 3 month mark, and that is the most important time of your entire build. It's huge. It's important. We passed framing. Now we're putting in what we call the guts of the home. And that is the mechanicals, the electrical, the plumbing, the HVAC. And this period is usually a 1 to 2 month period. And you will see certain trades, the plumber, the electrical, they'll be sometimes working simultaneously. But this is the most important time, because once that is all done, this is key, where you have a good real estate professional who is making sure that all the electrical, all the plumbing, like I said, the hose bibs and the exterior, the light switches and all that. This is a period of time where you are able to make sure that you're finding that everything is where it needs to be. Your builder may be building 10, 20 houses. He may miss something, or someone didn't look at the plans correctly. So it's really important for us, your team, to make sure that everything is correct at this stage, because this is pre-drywall, right? So we want to check everything out. Not only that, you want to have a pre-drywall inspection, okay? This is just something to make sure that everything, including your plumbing, your HVAC, and your electrical, is installed correctly, okay? So that you don't have problems down the road. Because if you do, we're gonna have to tear open ceilings. We're gonna have to rip open drywall, the wall. So you want to make sure everything is operating properly. Not only that, a good inspector will provide a good inspections report that gives you the good historical data of the house, and a good real estate professional will also provide you with the visuals that you can have for the home. I offer to do video always regularly on these homes so that you have something historically to show what's behind the wall. So if you make any changes later on, or if you have any problems later on, you can go to warranty and go, here, this was something that was brought up in my inspection report pre-drywall. So it's absolutely imperative. And for those of you that waited this long in the video, good for you. You might have saved yourself some money, because if you use my services, included in my services, I think it's so important to do that pre-drywall inspection that we're including as part of our services. We use a third-party inspector, a reputable inspector. Quick little story. I had a client. I get nothing for referring this inspector. It's just someone I've curated a relationship and saw that they did really good work, because anything that happens in this home is partially under my watch as well. So it took me a while to find a really good inspection company, but I think it's so imperative that I'm including in my services. I don't get anything for it. But a good inspector will point out everything, even more than necessary. But it's good to have that inspection report, because right before after all the guts of the home are completed, in that 1 to 2 month period, you have that little tiny window of time to do a inspection, a pre-drywall inspection. And I have a video on that as well, which I will also put it in the description so you can learn more about that process. But then you will be able to take that inspection report, share it with your builder, who you have a wonderful relationship with. And basically you will have a pre-drywall, what they call orientation or meeting with your builder, where he'll walk through everything, the mechanicals of the home, make sure that all your lighting is where it needs to be, where all your outlets need to be, your hose bibs, everything is where it needs to be. He goes through the plans again, walking through the home with you. And then at the end, a good builder or construction manager will acknowledge the inspection report and go over those items of concern at the end of that meeting, and make sure that they are taken care of before they do the drywall, okay? Insulation and drywall, which is the next phase. All right, if you're still with me, you're very interested in building a home, you're being very smart about knowing what you're getting yourself into, you have a good real estate professional guiding you through the process, and you're not completely blue to everything. So right now we have done our pre-drywall meeting with your builder. All the mechanicals are installed in your home. They're about to cover them up with insulation and do the drywall. By the way, the drywall, one of the things you want to keep in mind is if you want smooth walls in your home, you're probably going to have to pay for that. Some builders do offer it as part of their packages. But going back to this stage here, your insulation and drywall, it's a very quick process, probably 3 to 4 weeks. And then you will go into the next phase, which are the interior and exterior finishes. These are basically the stage where you're just adding the details. It usually runs about a month or two, and that includes the exterior finishes. Here in Northeast Florida, we're using a cementous siding, which is fantastic, a better option than what they used in the past here in Florida, which is stucco, causing problems on wood frame homes in the long term for people that don't maintain it properly. So at this point, we're getting the siding on the home. The home is also getting its interior finishes, including cabinets, countertops, flooring, and then painting. And again, this process can take about 1 to 2 months. And then finally, the next phase would be the final touches, and that would include the details, the landscaping, and then doing a final inspection. Now, the way builders do it towards the end is that you'll get a letter right when you have cabinets, okay? And that is right after the drywall interior. Once they start putting the cabinets in, you'll get a letter. They call it the cabinet letter. And usually the cabinet letter is kind of an indication of how much longer to build a home. And so usually it's about 30, 45 days is what they're expecting or projecting the closing of the home. The builders kind of use that time frame for you to know, hey, get prepared to close on this home. Even though it's very loose, you'll see some letters, a cabinet letter that you'll receive that says, hey, your home can close January 18th or February 12th. And you really aren't sure. That's a big window, especially if you're trying to sell a home and trying to transition from one home to the other, or you have a rental and you have to cancel a lease. This is a very tricky time. So this is a time where your real estate professional is representing you and your builder that you have a relationship with are really trying to figure out when your house is truly going to be done and when you can meet in. So this is a very important time. And at this time, they'll also start giving you an idea of when you can have your final inspection. And then you'll have your first walk, which is what they call a new home orientation. That's usually 1 to 2 weeks before closing. And your builder will walk through the home with you, explain everything on the home, how it works, where your water heaters are, maintenance, HVAC, et cetera, et cetera. And then at the end of that meeting, again, they should have your final inspection report, which they should acknowledge. And they will acknowledge that report. And then your second walk, which is usually the day of closing. I always like it to be the day before closing, so it gives you some time. But they will acknowledge the items on the inspection list that they were able to repair. If there's certain things that they cannot have done before closing, they'll put it on a backlog, which you'll sign an agreement that they will take care of it right after closing. And that's usually for cases like if there's a cabinet door that needs to be replaced and they have to order it from the cabinetry company and it's going to take time, then they don't want to delay closing because of that. So you'll sign off on that. But if there's any major issues with the home that are big ticket items that you are not okay with, then that is the time to bring it up and make it very clear that you are not closing until these major ticket items are taken care of. Because after you close, you don't have a lot of recourse on those big ticket items. So again, that's where it's really important to have a real estate professional to sit down with you and go, okay, is this normal? Are all these items on your first new home orientation, which is 2 weeks before closing, are all these items going to be fixed in a week or two before closing? And a lot of the times the answer is yes, it's not abnormal at all. But again, imperative to have that in final inspection as well. And again, part of my services, I do cover that because it makes my job easier as well to make sure that everything needs to be done before you close the home and that there's no major issues. And a third party who is trained to do that, it should be done. And so I include that in my services as well. And again, that gives you more historical data, having an additional report of your home, because your home has a bumper to bumper 1-year warranty, which you can have a 10-month inspection. It's a warranty inspection, if you will, where the builder will come back in and fix any things in the home after the home has settled. There's a settling process in the first year. And so they'll come back then. It's good to have another warranty inspection at that time. But again, if any issues do arise, I always revert back to your pre-drywall inspection report and your final inspection report to see if there was anything that the inspector saw during that time that could be of a concern. And then a year later, you find out it is a concern, like water intrusion, for instance, is a big one. HVAC, leaks in your HVAC, perspiration. It gets hot here in Florida. So when hot air, cold air mix, it's not a good thing. So that's the point of those inspection reports. And again, all this occurs usually in the 1 to 2 months, these final touches, if you will. And that walkthrough and closing in that 1 to 2 month time is a 2-week process, if you will, at the end there. So again, total timelines is what I've gone over today is about 8 to 12 months. Can be faster, sometimes 6 or 7, depending on the size of the home. But this is really an 8 to 12 month trajectory. And this can go faster, slower, depending on the market, how many homes they're building, depending on the weather, depending on the supply chain issues, depending on permitting. There are so many variables that can affect this build time, but this is just to give you an idea of what to expect. Okay, so I know that was a lot, but for those of you who are hanging on, I know you're serious about the process. Again, if you're looking to buy a home or build a home in the next 90, 180 days, give me a call, text me, email me. My information will be in the description below. Don't go this alone. I don't recommend it. It's not for the faint of heart, if you will. And again, me and my team are here to help you. I have someone that that used to work for the builder, has a design background, to help you with the picking out of the design process. I'll help you with the picking out the correct lot, the right build that's for you in the right area that fits you and your family. We'll have someone help you with the actual finishes and design with your design center visits. And then of course, again, we also include in our services the pre-drywall inspection, the final inspection. And we'll hold your hand throughout that process and make sure that you have all the historical data on the build of your home throughout the process, so that we have as many eyes on it, that you're being able to make sure that that the issues that occur are taken care of sooner than later, because there's always going to be issues in new construction. And if you believe there isn't going to be, then you should probably buy a spec home or a home, a quick move in, so that you don't have to go through this process. But if you are going through this process, don't go it alone. My name is Greg DiTullio. I live in the St. Johns County area, and I focus a lot on new construction as a son of an architect. I love this, and I'm here to serve you. So go ahead, check out the comments, description for my information. Send me a text, email me, call me, and I'll talk to you real soon. Check out all these videos that I mentioned throughout this video that I have on the next page. I'll have them also linked in the description, and I'll see you there.